Hello, and welcome to Behind the Scenes of Where Has Samuel's Shadow Gone? I am Tom, and this is Samuel and Duke. I welcome you to join us in this world of photo animation.
As Samuel awoke from a good night's sleep, he opened his eyes and looked at his feet. But something was strange. Something was wrong. Samuel realized that his shadow was gone.
14 years ago, in 2007, I wrote this entire story, Where Has Samuel's Shadow Gone? The story hasn't changed much or been edited very much since then. I also thought I would create the book using photos I took from backgrounds and use Adobe Illustrator for the main characters. So it would be like this surreal world with photos in the background with illustrated characters using Adobe Illustrator. Fast forward 12 years later, a lot has changed. Team of one, responsible for the artwork, building the sets, hiring someone to make the original dolls, which I did, hiring the voiceover talent, photographing backgrounds for the last 15 years. I just pulled together all these photos of mine and also some family members, photographing Samuel and the dog to put in the foreground. And I went to a lot of thrift stores, a lot of hobby stores. The hobby stores usually would cost the most, but I'd get like a lot of the flowers and the bushes and the pots. Some of these thrift stores and secondhand places for the wood, I got things on the cheap. An antique store, I got the doll items like the house, the boat, the bike, a dive helmet. I used a lot of these things, and then there were a lot of things I just found around the house that I would use. I'm flipping through a bunch of the behind the scenes photos, and as you can see the sets that I did, the lighting, some of the photography equipment. I had what's called a slider that zooms in and zooms out. It's a pretty cool device, and I got some great shots. And I tried filming many of these scenes, but after many weeks, I realized I could get better quality using photo manipulation and my animation skills. I was going to try to combine some filming, live filming with, I had some cool dollies and things I've spent some money on. Using Photoshop and HitFilm Pro, those scenes just looked better. Here is the bike scene that's not even in the book or in the movie now. I have snippets of it in the movie. You can see how I tried to film it at first and just get an idea for the background. I kept changing things and adding things and making the background more pleasant. And then you'll see the final film where I fixed a lot of problems with it. I had gone to Boise State University and polished up my drawing and painting and digital art. And I worked for years doing many freelance graphic design, art, video productions. So this was great for helping my skills to improve, and I really was excited to put this forward into this project. I started to visualize the book and video using the photo animation, very similar to stop motion. My all-time favorite movies and graphic design and style are from these artists like Laika and Pixar. I love photo montage, stop motion, and manipulation with any kind of digital art, animation at its best. I grew up inspired by classics like Rankin and Bass, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and The Wizard of Oz. I get that comparison a lot to this, even though mine is done with photo stop motion instead of, I do take photos of the images, but I don't sit there painstakingly moving them inches like these other guys do. I mean, my hat's off to them for their craft. So I'm using photo montage or photo animation.
or take
It's
the
still
train
pretty
above the
close to
ground.
stop motion because I am taking photos of actual live backgrounds, actual puppets, or dolls, I should say. It's hard to explain the magic behind these visuals, but they take you to a different place. The emotions are all enhanced, darks and lights. If you think about those 1960 Rankin and Bass, stop motion videos when I was a child, they're just classic. It's truly breathtaking, surreal worlds, magical worlds. I just trust my Photoshop skills. Go with what works best for you instead of trying to film these scenes myself. These scenes would require a crew of photo and film experts to achieve the look that I wanted, and I didn't have the budget for that. I'm grateful I tried to film them for several weeks because it gave me some great alternative ideas. Some of these scenes, I have literally 10 different background scenes, so try and create many, and then go with the best. Once you start going, ooh, this looks really good, then go down that road. Once in a while I would luck out, and the very first background I threw down and the photos that I took, it just worked. And you get luckier the more you keep doing this. Using Photoshop and HitFilm Pro, those scenes just looked better, they looked sharper. I was able to control the situation better. I realized I could pan, zoom, blur, and get better resolution and color by using my Photoshop skills rather than trying to film the scenes myself. I still would photograph all the backgrounds with Samuel and the dog in those backgrounds. Most of these scenes were shot that way, but I would just get a bunch of different angles and then piece them together for the actual book or film. So one thing I make sure and do, for the past 15 years, I've been taking photos. And when I'm driving down the road, I'll pull over in my car, I'll take photos of sunsets, sunrises, and I take them on every vacation, take photos of flowers, anything that interests me that I could use for the book. Also, you should always have another folder of other artists' works for inspiration. Don't copy it, but just look through those images that are similar to what you're going for, and that can really help your project. So here's the book that I did in Affinity Publisher. That's the software I used. And I'm just going to scroll down and show you the entire book. Later on, as things evolved, 14 years later, as my son grew older, who I wrote the book for, there were a lot of advances in technology, as all of you know. I grew in my strengths of video editing, photo manipulation, Photoshop. Those are the main tools I use. I did a lot of sketches, a lot of storyboards. I had a lot of time to really think about the character development and make these scenes the best that I could. I even created an art timeline of the entire story. Sometimes that's a great way to help visualize or write a book. Like I say, this was shelved, and so just in the last 3 years I decided, I need to finish this book. And it's pretty cool because this was a journey not only for Samuel to find his shadow, but it was a journey for me in that length of time to grow as an illustrator, animator, videographer. I learned so much and am still learning, and that's the key. I never want to stop learning, and I'm so excited to do more books about Samuel and his adventures. One of my ideas is an underwater adventure with a mermaid, and another one is in space with Samuel. So here are the scenes from the movie. I'm going to play the entire movie fast so you just get an idea of each scene. I hope that I can somehow help you or inspire you and get you to finish what you know you need to do with your own creative adventure. So anyone interested who really wants to do this and wants further instruction, I'm going to do a more at-length video, and I'm going to film myself doing a scene in Photoshop with images, doing the photo animation, and also in HitFilm Pro, which you could take over to any of the formats like Adobe Premiere or all the other video editing software. I'll show you how I created the scenes and did the video. I'll also show you how I did the music, the score underneath. Also answer any questions you have. You can find that information in the description below of the video. That about wraps it up. Here comes the end of the video and the end of this video. I hope you got some insight into how the process works, and I'm very grateful and thank you so much and wish you all the very best. Cheers.